Hi everyone again. So we are going to discuss today data governance. This is the second presentation we have in section F of CMA Part 1. So first of all, what is data governance? It's a set of policies, procedures and standards that organization is using for what? To ensure that their data is accurate and they are consistent, secured and used effectively. So there should be some rules, there should be some policies in terms of data. That is what actually data governance means. That should be there in every organization. So this is actually involving with how you are managing the data. That includes data availability, usability, integrity, security within the organization. So having a data governance will ensure that the data what you have in the organization is reliable and that can be trusted. It is not possible for anyone to misuse it easily. For that, what policies, procedures and standard you can have in the organization, that is what actually a data governance is. So this will make sure that the data is available to the individuals or the department when they need, and the data is in a usable format. It is secured, it is not misused by anyone else, and it is based on the privacy policy of the organization, and it is properly integrated with other information technology components of the organization, and it is in compliance with the laws and regulations of the organization. And it will also determine the roles and responsibilities of the individuals who are dealing with information technology in the organization, and also how data is coming in and going out from and to your organization. All this will be included in data governance. So there are actually some data governance framework by COSO and by COBIT that companies can follow. Okay, so data governance framework provide structured approaches to managing data within an organization. So you will get an approach that is already structured by COSO or structured by COBIT. You just have to follow that. That's what a framework means. This framework ensures that data is managed effectively, efficiently, and it is in compliance with relevant regulations and standards. So it is ensuring that data what you have is managed properly, and it is as per the compliance that is relevant in your kind of setup. And key data governance frameworks are COSO and COBIT. So this is what we are going to talk about, these two frameworks, and there are other frameworks also, but these two we will discuss in this presentation. COSO's internal control. This we have studied already in section E. So internal control, that is focusing on internal control and risk management. How you can have proper internal control in the organization. That way you can protect your data. So this is providing a structured approach through which you can design and implement and evaluate your internal control in terms of data management. And this is widely used for compliance with the financial reporting and regulatory requirements. So these are the 5 components of COSO's internal control that we have seen before, and we said CRIME, crime. Not having internal control in the organization is same like doing crime to the organization. So these 5 components we can incorporate in IT or information technology controls also. So first we will talk about the control environment in this. The institution established a governance body to oversee the data management. So what the organization is thinking about the data handling is very important. Okay, so they are establishing a governance body, or they are creating an environment in the organization and clearly communicating that data is very important for us and the data need to be properly used and maintained. So you will be creating policies to ensure data integrity and ethical handling. So that is what environment you are creating in the organization. This is the first component of internal control. Then you will assess the risk. We will look at different events that may occur, and if that occur, how that is going to impact the organization. So risk related to data security, maybe it is related to compliance or quality, these are identified, and a risk management plan will be developed. Then control activities will be implemented. Data access controls are implemented to ensure only authorized personnel can access sensitive information. Such kind of activities that need to be implemented. Procedures for data validation and reconciliation. Then all these need to be communicated throughout the organization. All the data governance policy that need to be communicated. So employees should know what they are expected to do. For that, they have to do maybe training sessions also to educate the staff. And then we have to do monitoring. Regular audits and reviews are conducted to ensure compliance with the data governance policies. So some policies are implemented, but is the organization moving as per the policies or not? That we need to do an audit. So that is the last component in this. So 5 components, as we said: CRIME, crime, the environment, risk assessment, control activities, communication and monitoring. So that is COSO. Then what we have is COBIT. This is another framework by ISACA. This is the organization, and it is called as COBIT. COBIT is an IT, information technology framework for the governance and management of enterprise information technology. How you are going to govern the information technology in an enterprise? COBIT is formulated for that. The full form, you can see: control objective of information and related technology. That's what the full form of COBIT. And these are the components of COBIT. COBIT is having a framework, a high-level structure, and they have key components, outlining key components and principles for effective IT governance. So they have some principles that need to be followed to have effective IT governance, and they also describe the process. What are the various IT processes will be there in the organization? And that will provide insight into activities, controls and objectives. Then control objective, core objective that articulate desired outcomes and expectation for each IT process. So what is expected from each IT process, or what is the outcome of each IT process that is defined in control objective? Then maturity models. This is to help organization to understand their capabilities and how they can improve. That need to be understood, right? That will be in the maturity models. So your current capabilities and set improvement goals and monitor progress. So what is your current capability and what improvements can be done and how these improvements can be monitored. And this framework is also giving management guidelines. The guidelines with actionable steps for achieving control objectives and enhancing IT governance. These are the components of COBIT. And also COBIT is actually separating governance and management. So as per COBIT, governance is usually responsibility of the board of directors under the leadership of the chair, but management usually the responsibility of the executive management under CEO's leadership. So the purpose of management is to plan, build and run monitor activities, but implementations, all those things need to be done by the top level, or we can say not top level, the board of directors. So that was about data governance and framework. So data governance is nothing but having proper rules, regulations, policies and procedures and standards to handle your data. And for that we have two frameworks. One is COSO, other one is COBIT. That's what we discussed until here. Now we will discuss data lifecycle and records management. So here we will try to understand how the data is collected and what are all the cycle it is going through until it is completely removed from the system, and what are the implications of governance we can have at each stage of this data life cycle. Okay, so that's what we are going to discuss here. So data life cycle encompasses a period from creation of data and its initial storage through the time data becomes out of date and no longer needed and is purged. Purged means deleted. So from creation to deletion, what are the steps it is going through and how data governance need to be implemented at each steps. The first one is data capture. You have to capture the data, then you have to maintain data, then comes data synthesis, usage, analytics, publication and archive. All this we are going to discuss in detail in the coming slide. So this is the diagram of data life cycle. So first it is data capture. In order to be analyzed, data must first be recorded or captured. Or it can be entered by hand, or it can be scanned by computers, or it can be acquired by sensors. The data captured may come from outside or inside the organization. And even today's Internet of Things generates huge amounts of data that can be potentially captured. So the first step in data lifecycle is data capturing. Then it comes data maintenance. So you captured the data that need to be maintained now. So in order to be useful, whatever data you collected, that need to be converted to a usable form. So this is the process of creating usable data That may include cleaning, scrubbing, and processing through an ETL methodology, extract, transform, and load methodology. So before we use this data, it must be cleaned and it must be scrubbed. So it must be checked for correctness. All those will be done in data maintenance. Then comes data synthesis. This involves use of statistical method that combine data from many sources or tests in order to obtain a better overall estimate or answer to the question being asked of data. So data synthesis involves using statistical method that is combining data from many sources. You may get data from different sources. How you are going to combine all this data, that is dealt in data synthesis. Then comes data usage. How this data is used by different organizations and how this is going to support the mission of the business. Then come data analytics. Now you have the data. So to get or to make meaningful decision out of this data, you have to analyze this data. So you have to use certain skills, technologies, certain applications to analyze the data. Then comes data publication. Data will be sent outside the organization. So we have to determine what type of data we can send outside and what that we cannot send. That is data publication. Then comes data archival. This is the process of removing data from the active use to be stored for the potential future use. So you are removing the data from the active use, but you are not permanently deleting the data. You are keeping it aside. Maybe it can be taken out later and can be used. But I don't want to take the burden of that data now into my system. That we call it as data archival. And finally, data purging. The purging involves deleting data that is no longer useful or needed. It is permanently you are deleting. That is what purging means. Management should create a data retention policy to enforce proper data purging practice. So how long you are going to retain the data and after how many years you can remove all the data from the system. That should be decided by the management. So these are the steps in data life cycle. Now how you are going to incorporate data governance in each stage? In data capture, when you are capturing data, you have to establish guidelines to ensure data accuracy and completeness. You have to make sure data whatever captured is accurate and complete. And also access controls you have to define. Who can capture data to ensure the data entry points. Then comes data maintenance, the second step. So data governance, implement routines to detect and correct errors. So you have to implement some routine to find out the mistakes in your data. And also version control, manage changes and maintain historical records, data alterations. Then data synthesis, data integration policies. So you have to establish the protocols for merging and aggregating data with different applications or modules. And data need to be tracked for its origin, track the origin and transformation of data, from where this data is coming. So there should be policy to track this. Data usage. So there should be definition of appropriate use cases, appropriate usage of data, and you have to make policy that only authorized users are getting the data or the access to the data. Also, monitoring. Need to implement systems to track data usage and detect any anomalies, any abnormalities is there that need to be detected. Data analytics. So data governance integration in this is develop standards for analytical methods and ensure that this analysis do not violate privacy policies or regulations. Now you can see Facebook and all facing this court trial and all at different times because of violating the privacy policies of the individuals. Then data publication. So you have to set guidelines for what data can be published, and you have to make sure that data is reaching the intended recipient securely. It is not leaking in between, it is not going out. And also ensure published data complies with the relevant laws and regulations. Data archival again. Define how long different types of data should be retained. That should be there in your governance. And whatever the data which you archived, you can see ensure data is stored in a secure and retrievable format. Sometimes maybe you want to get this data back, so you have to make sure it is secure and it can be retrieved. And also restrict access to archived data to unauthorized personnel. Don't allow anyone to access those data. Finally, data purging, removing the data permanently. So deletion policies, establish clear criteria and processes for data deletion, when you can delete the data. And this data the purging also, it has to be secure. Ensure that data is irrecoverably deleted and cannot be accessed or reconstructed by anyone. So some organizations, especially government organizations, they break all even the hard disk what they have used. Okay, to make sure that the data what they have cannot be used by anyone. Also, audit trail should be there. Maintain records of purged data for compliance and accountability. So who created, who deleted, all those information should be there in audit trails. Then comes data pre-processing. Data pre-processing is a critical step in data analysis and machine learning. Involves several stages to ensure that data is in the right form for further analysis. So before you process any data, you have to make sure that the data is in the right form. That's what we call as data pre-processing. And there are some steps involved in data pre-processing. First one is data consolidation, data cleaning, data transformation, and data reduction. So data consolidation involves combining data from multiple sources into a single data set. This is what we call the data consolidation, combining data from different sources. The step crucial when you are dealing with the data from different databases, different spreadsheets, or different data warehouses. So here what we have to do, identify and extract data. Identify relevant data only, relevant data sources, and extract data from that. Then merge data sets. Use common keys or fields to merge the data and handle duplicates. If any duplicate is there, handle that. So this is nothing but merging different data from different sources. Then comes cleaning. Before you process, you have to clean the data. You have to remove records with the missing values. Some fields doesn't have values, so that need to be removed. correct errors if anything is there that need to be corrected. If there is anything that is incomplete or irrelevant that need to be removed, that we call it as data cleaning. Data transformation. This involves converting data into suitable format or structure for analysis. You want to do some analysis, right? So the data need to be converted into that structure so that you can do analysis. This step include normalization, aggregation, and encoding. Normalization, it scales numerical data into standard range, for example 0 to 1. Some algorithm will be used for this and the data will be arranged in a range. So the analysis can be done easily. Feature engineering, for example, extracting day of the week from a date field. So you have a date field in your data and you want to extract the day of that date before you convert the data. Aggregation, summarize the data by grouping and aggregating values. So you will be doing a summarizing of this data before you convert the data for analysis. Also, you can do data reduction. As the name indicates, I want to reduce the data. Data reduction simplifies the data set by reducing its size while maintaining essential information. You want to reduce the size, but you don't want to lose the essence of the information. So this will improve the efficiency of data process and also it will reduce the storage space requirement. So that is data pre-processing. Then we have records management policy. A documented record retention policy is very important. A record retention policy, and it has to be documented. That is very important for any organization because it is telling how records should be kept, how they should be stored, and when they should be disposed of. These policies need to be clearly defined and documented. And this policy is going to help organization to follow law, avoid problems like data breaches or legal issues, and make operations smoother by improving efficiency and saving important information for the future. So record management is important. Additionally, record retention policy helps save on storage cost by making sure records are not kept longer than needed. So you are not going to keep huge data for a long time because it is going to cost you. So if you have a policy when I can remove this data, which is documented and approved by the authority, that can be used in the organization to maintain your data. Our next topic is cyber attacks and what you can do to stay away from these attacks. So it is going to be cyber security. This we have studied a little bit in section E also. So cyber security is the process, methods of protecting internet connected network, devices or data from attacks. So these attacks are usually made to access or change or destroy your data, or maybe they want to interrupt your normal business operation. And there can be different types of risk. This we already discussed. Copyright infringement. This is someone is using an application, for example, which is copyright protected. Denial of service. Someone is attacking a website. Always increasing the traffic and the customers of the website are not able to access the data, or password attacks, phishing, malware, ransomware, like hacking to the data and ask for money to give the data back, that is ransomware. Pay-per-click abuse. Maybe you can see in Google and all, you will have a advertisement called pay-per-click. So Google Ads we call it as. So if some customer is clicking on this link, then we will get charged for the click what we get. So someone can sit and do always click so that our amount will get spent. How we will avoid that? That's what in pay-per-click abuse. So different things. It can be social engineering. An individual may pose as a trustworthy co-worker, perhaps someone from the company's IT support or division, and politely ask for passwords and other confidential information. Once you give, that will be misused. This is another security issue, going through company's trash for information that can be used either to break into computers directly or to assist in social engineering. Someone is going through the trash of the company's information to find something. And how you can defend against these cyber attacks. Encryption we already discussed about before. We can use ethical hackers to protect against the system vulnerability. So network and computer experts with hacking skills who attempt to hack a secure system. So you are allowing some ethical hackers to hack into your system. They are expert in it and they are trying to hack into your system to make sure that it is not possible easily for anyone to hack into the system. And there are three types of hacking: intrusion testing, penetration testing, and vulnerability testing. Intrusion testing, example is like an ethical hacker attempts to breach the network perimeter using techniques such as scanning for open ports, exploiting with passwords, and bypassing firewall rules, and they are trying to intrude into the system. That we call it as intrusion testing that can be done. Or penetration testing, this is actively attempting to exploit vulnerabilities in the system's network or application. That is penetration testing. Then we have vulnerability testing. This is scanning and analyzing system to find non-vulnerabilities without necessarily exploiting them. For example, someone is always checking is the software is updated, or if there is any misconfiguration, or is there is any security patch missing. This we call it as vulnerability testing. So we can use ethical hackers to do these three types of testing. Or you can have advanced firewalls. So firewalls are network security devices that monitor and control incoming and outgoing network traffic based on predetermined security rules. Actually, here it is. Firewalls analyze packets of data and decide whether to allow or block that traffic based on security rules. You have set up some security rules and whether to allow this data to come to your network or not. So you have some features like intrusion prevention system, deep packet inspection, and application awareness. Also, you can reduce this, you can increase the cyber security by having control over access. Access control system define policies that determine user permissions based on roles, responsibilities, and other criteria. And authentication mechanism like passwords, biometrics, and multi-factor authentication verify the identity of the user. So who should access what data? That need to be clearly defined in the organization. That is what access controls. And mechanism need to be implemented so that an unauthorized person will not get access of any part of the data. So to restrict the data access only to authorized users, one or more of the following strategies can be adopted. You can use like something you know, something you are, or something you have. Here we have something you know, your IDs and passwords. You can use this to protect against data, protect against the attacks. Or something you are, you can use your biometrics. Or something you have, presence of physical object to certify an authorized user identity. Maybe you have an ID card. Like this, you can restrict the data access. And also you can protect your data by having automatic locking and log off policies. So if you keep your screen for half an hour, then it will automatically log out from the system. Log off all login attempts, whether successful or not. Logs off all login attempts. Whether successful or not, the logs, who tried, from where, which computer, which IP address, which MAC address, all these things will be kept as a logs. And accounts that automatically expire. So this particular account will be expired after 3 days. So this kind of considerations also you can use to protect your data. Also, you can have physical access controls. You can have walls and fences, locked gates and doors, main guard post, monitored security cameras, guard dogs, alarm systems, smoke detectors. And also you can have keys, card access, and biometric access for the place where you have kept your data. And controls can also be designed to limit activities that are performed remotely. Someone is accessing your data remotely, so you should have some methods to prevent this also. So that's about second presentation in section F, which is data governance. And we will see the third presentation in the next video. Okay, thanks a lot for watching. Thank you.